But let's go ahead now, get into our Week 6 prediction. So we've got Tampa Bay at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly +7. Of course, this seems like an easy one. I'm going to take Tampa. No explanation. Maybe their secondary could try to cause problems for how Philly just did for the who did they just beat? We were just talking about Carolina. Maybe they could cause problems for them. And, maybe they could try to find some receivers busting through on Tampa's secondary. Don't bank on it, though. I think Tampa takes this one easily, and they cover the spread.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is going to be an ugly game for Philly. Just like how Dallas ran through Philly, Tampa Bay is going to do the exact same thing. It won't be anything like that Carolina game because Tom Brady is not Sam Darnold. You're not going to be able to confuse him that way.
Right.
So it's going to look bad. And it's a Thursday night game. I mean, it'll be exciting to watch Jalen Hurts because he's an electric player, but they're going to get destroyed.
Yeah. I agree with you. Moving on next to Miami at Jacksonville. Jacksonville +3 playing in London early in the morning, correct?
Yep.
London
there we games go. Are always 9:30.
Yep. So back-to-back weeks. Interesting. Okay. For some reason, I thought they would have maybe put them on the same or just had one. But Jacksonville +3. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going to take the Jaguars to get a W right here. I mean, they've been increasingly looking better from week to week. I mean, Trevor Lawrence seems like he's starting to get his feet underneath him just a little bit, and Miami is a very bad team. Jacoby Brissett is not it. Like, that's why he was backing up a second-year quarterback that we also weren't sold on. That doesn't really speak well for you to come in and be like, oh, he's going to fix it. It's like he was behind a guy that they didn't have faith in. So, like, no, I have nothing for Miami. They're going to lose. I have no idea why they're favored. Like, they're favored by 3 points. So I'm absolutely going Jacksonville all day with that game. I'm
going to take Jacksonville here as well for a upset +3. I just think right now with the way, yes, Jacksonville is obviously still struggling right now in the league, but the Dolphins don't look great either. And this is the perfect game for Jacksonville to jump on it. And a win right now would mean a lot for Urban Meyer. Yeah, of course, he's still kind of in the spotlight, but, things come and go so quick in the NFL. And this would help. There's been issues with him already, and getting a win here for Jacksonville would be major. And we would like to see Trevor Lawrence win at least one game in his rookie year. I think we all would for the number 1 overall pick. But now moving on to Packers at Bears. Bears are +4.5. And we get a little bit of Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields here. This is going to be fun. We've heard some of the comparisons from Fields to Rodgers. I think that's a little far. But either way, Packers at Bears. Who wins this one?
I mean, it's definitely going to be Green Bay. But with the 4.5-point spread, I'm almost weary of it the same as I was last week with Cincinnati. I have faith in Aaron Rodgers pulling the game out, but I don't have faith in them covering any spreads because their defense is not very good. I don't think they're going to really get pressure on Justin Fields, so Fields is going to be able to move the ball, and Chicago is going to score points. I think ultimately they lose, but I'll take Green Bay, and once again, not with that spread.
not with that spread, yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, man, because Chicago seems like they want to put up some fight right now. They're definitely coming off of 2 wins there. Well, not 2 wins, but coming off of no, it is 2 wins, isn't it? They beat the Lions when Justin Fields balled out, and then they just beat the Raiders. So they're coming off 2 wins there in Chicago, and they're feeling good. They're feeling hot. We're finally seeing Justin Fields to get, a little better each week. He didn't look the best last week, but the week before with Detroit showed a lot of promise. And what we're talking about here with the Green Bay defense, that I don't think it's going to give you major problems. Yeah, they're going to have a pass rush into which hopefully we're not looking at, Justin Fields versus the Browns again when we're talking about potentially that pass rush from Green Bay. But I do take the Packers here to win this game. Spread is a little funky, yeah, so I don't know if I would totally ride on that, but there's no reason that the Packers shouldn't win this football game. Now talking about the Bengals at the Lions, and this could maybe be a sneaky shootout. We're talking about Jared Goff. We're talking about Joe Burrow, and just 2 teams that want to put up points at will. 2 not bad teams, but they were kind of floating on the same spectrum before we walked in. Are you going to take Burrow or Goff to get a win for their team here?
Now, this is probably the most difficult game on the slate to pick, because Detroit could just come out with an aerial assault, and this be a game where you're like, wow, like Jared Goff really lit it up.
Yep.
But this could also be a Cincinnati game where you turn around and say the same thing about Joe Burrow, because he has been playing extremely well. They are on the road playing in Detroit, and, they're coming off of a devastating loss after all those missed field goals against Green Bay. But I think ultimately in this game, it's just going to come down to Cincinnati has more horses on offense. But I think it'll be a very high-scoring game, and I'm still having extreme difficulty just taking Cincinnati. I'm going to take Detroit. I feel like Detroit's winning.
Oh, circling it now. He brought out the pen. He's going to tell me to circle the picks after the show. He's already got it down. Taking Detroit with an upset. All right, Detroit is plus 3.5. I got to take the Bengals here. Don't see a reason that the Bengals should get troubled in this game. Maybe, like we said, it could be a shootout just because they both want to put up points at will. I like Joe Burrow here, though. I like Jamar Chase to have a big game and for the Bengals to take home a W here. Absolutely. Now we talk about the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are minus 10. And this feels like a game the Colts could lose, honestly, just because they've been so streaky. Should have pulled out a win, last night, and they absolutely didn't. Texans at Colts. Who takes home the W?
Man, I'm going to take the Colts, but that 10-point line is just ridiculous. I don't know who thought that Indy's offense was so good that they should be favored by that much to beat anybody. Their defense isn't world beaters on that level. Houston showed you last week against New England that they actually, like Davis Mills, can actually orchestrate some drives. They're going to score points against Indy. I just don't think they'll beat them. Indy's defense is good enough to stop them from overtaking them in this game, but I got Indy definitely not with 10 points. They're not covering that.
Yeah, I'll take Indianapolis to win as well, but I think it'll be a close one. Don't trust the spread at all. I don't trust either of these teams when it gets into it, but Carson Wentz is obviously better than Davis Mills, maybe not by much, who knows. But we know we have the roster benefit of the roster with the Colts over the Texans at this point. Like I said, it could be a close one, but I will take the Colts to win here. Rams at Giants. Giants are only plus 10.5. This is another one of those weird ones where what does Vegas know that we don't? Rams at Giants.
I'm taking the Rams. It must be one of those things where Vegas is like, Aaron Donald ain't playing. Saquon's going to get off. I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
Something's coming down the wire that we haven't heard yet. That spread does seem dangerously low unless they're really actually banking on this is time for the Stafford decline. All those overthrows. He definitely cost people in that Seattle game against that spread.
Yep.
They should have beat Seattle way worse than they beat them. They're still winning games, but they're not beating them the way they should.
Yeah.
I'm scared of their spread. I'm definitely not actually going to bet on that one. Taking the Rams, but I ain't betting on that game at all.
Yeah, Rams minus 10.5. That's just too much of a spread for a Rams team, like you just said, to where it does seem like Stafford is, rearing his ugly head, not his ugly head rather, but the way that he's overthrowing these passes and
that's ugly.
yeah, definitely. When you're seeing him revert back to some of these old Stafford ways, and I know people are going to jump in the comments and say that this, that, and the third is happening. And look, we know the Rams offense is big. We know that they've got players. We know that they can ball out. But how is it going to be when you're truly asking Stafford to get into it? I am going to take the Rams here to win the game. There's no question about that. But the line and the reasoning there, yeah, it's definitely a little shaky for sure. Kansas City at Washington, and I know some people are going to think Kansas City is going to absolutely roll here, but they're shaky. Like, they're feeling desperate for a win, and I think they come in not doubting anybody that's on the other side of that football. Yeah, it might be Washington. Who cares, though? Chiefs at Washington football team.
I'm going to take the Chiefs. They're in that backs up against the wall desperation mode. The way they've been losing games, they've been scoring points. They just can't protect the football. But Washington's defense that we all talked about last year is a thing of the past. Washington's defense is not that good anymore.
Nope.
Kansas City should be able to score enough points to even overcome their turnover issues. Because Washington, Taylor Heineke is actually not bad. But Washington's defense isn't that good. So now they're actually relying on him to win games. That's a bit much for him.
Right. Yeah. Taylor Heineke is not going to be able to outduel Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs want to win right now so badly, straight up. They want one. They need one. They're not wanting to fall to 2-4, especially not to an NFC least team, especially not to Washington. Like you said, they have totally regressed. It feels like they're nothing of what they were last year. And you have also the same thing with the Chiefs. It feels like they're kind of nothing of what they were last year. Yeah, they have the offense, but man, this team is totally different. They're not taking care of the football. And this could be a close one. I am going to take the Chiefs here though. But I honestly don't know if it's going to be a comfortable win for Kansas City at this point. Now we talk about the Vikings at the Panthers. Panthers are -1, and the Panthers have been shell-shocked. Sam Darnold's kind of reverting back to his old ways, and the Vikings really, really want to win. They play really hard, and they're going to be looking for one here. Vikings at Panthers.
I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers in this game. So I think the Minnesota is really going to be, they're very heavily dependent on Dalvin Cook. The Carolina Panthers do have a very good rush defense, but I know in the past couple of weeks it hasn't quite been that.
Right.
But like this is a very traditional football team they're playing against. They're not worried about Kirk Cousins running out of the pit. They're going to stack the box and dare Cousins to beat him with his arm, and I don't think he's able to do it. Sam Darnold will bounce back, have a decent game. I mean, I can see a good, 275, 280, and 3 touchdowns for Darnold. It won't be an amazing game. It'll be enough for them to win.
Enough for them to win. This is a hard one to pick, man, because as much as we want to say enough for Carolina to win it, that feels like it's just enough for them to lose it with, Minnesota's going to be wanting Dalvin Cook back. I don't know about the status of him in this weekend's game, but we know Madison's been balling. Justin Jefferson's absolutely been out there in Minnesota, and they are just a team that always comes out. They always play hard. They might have a bad record, but at the end of the day, they're going to take you down to the wire. And Carolina being -1, it's obvious why they're out there. It's really hard for me to pick a winner in this one. I'm going to take Minnesota with an upset, though, knocking Carolina down to 3-3. They're going to face their 3rd straight loss, and all of a sudden, Carolina's world is going to be turned upside down. And Minnesota, like I said, they are just seething for a victory right now. I think that this is where they find it. Chargers at Baltimore. We said this is going to be the game of the week. Baltimore is -3.5. There's going to be a lot of money won and a lot of money lost on this game. Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson to get a W for their team?
I'm taking Justin. That's because I think the Baltimore Ravens start too slow. If you continually get down like that and expect to come back, there are teams in this league that score too much for you to do it. I don't think Baltimore's defense is good enough for them to do their part in the comeback.
Right.
Lamar could end up starting to be on fire and heating up and throwing for a lot of yards and scoring points, but the Chargers are going to keep scoring as well.
Right.
So it won't be enough to come back. I don't really understand why they're favored to win this game. It's not really, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, the Ravens being -3.5, it feels like it could be a push, really, on this entire game because both of these guys are really evenly matched. I mean, you're looking at some of the power rankings. People think these are the best 2 teams in the NFL right now, and you can't really argue with what they've shown you so far on the tape. I do think the Chargers are a better balanced team. I do trust just a little more Justin Herbert over Lamar Jackson. And look, I never thought it would be a close decision for me in that aspect because Lamar has done a lot this year. Absolutely love the way that he's transitioning or really growing a lot in that quarterback position. And, like I said, it's going to be one of 2 ways. It's either going to be an absolute shootout or it's going to be a defensive stand up to where one play, series turnover is going to decide this game. I do have the Chargers taking the victory here, though, and they're going to pull off the upset, I guess. Like I said, a lot of money won, a lot of money lost on this game going into this weekend. Oh, yeah. Now we've got Arizona at Cleveland. Cleveland is -3, and this is another line that is going to be shaky. But like I said, Cardinals have kind of slowed down. The Browns have found their offense, or so they say. But who proves more this weekend? Who do you have with the W?
I think Cleveland proves more because they need a signature win under their belts. They've been in a lot of tight games. I mean, they do have the horses on both sides of the football. So they can win over the Arizona Cardinals will really put Cleveland back to where they need to be, just confidence-wise, if nothing else. They've got to get a W under their belt and a win over a 5-0 Arizona team. That'll have them back with that swag that they had coming into the season. Like, we made the divisional round last year. We're going all the way this year.
Yep. They're going to have to get this win back under their belt to give Stefanski, Mayfield, Chubb, all those guys confidence because the Browns are underperforming. The Browns are not that team we thought they were going to be walking into this year. I know you had them in the Super Bowl. You're not pulling off, and I don't blame you because I think they can find themselves. But this is a much-needed win. You're talking about, dethroning, per se, the Arizona Cardinals as the only undefeated team in the NFL. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier when we got into it, what is it going to be when Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield are going to be asked at one point or another to make a play in that game? That's where I don't trust Baker. That's why I have Kyler Murray stepping up, pulling off another upset of the weekend, I guess, and now you have the Cardinals with the W. On to the last few games here before we pop out. Got about 10 minutes left here on the show. Raiders at Broncos, and Broncos are favored by 3 points. This is another odd game. Bad schedule this week, odd lines. Who knows? Raiders or Broncos?
Yeah, the line went up to 3.5 after Gruden. So he cost them another half point.
Gruden's worth half a point? Wow.
Yep, that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, the way the Raiders came out last week, it seems like just with all of the turmoil going on, it's just things aren't looking good for them. But what I will say is what I have noticed in the past and like just across sports, when a coach gets fired, the team usually comes back the next game, and all of a sudden they seem like they're inspired, and whoever the interim is that steps in always seems to have the juice the next week.
Falcons.
Always. Yeah, they came right back and won. I mean, the same thing happened with the Hawks.
Yep.
But, like, we've seen this so many times where it's like, okay, they're in a disarray. Like, yeah, they were when they were talking about firing the coach, and the players didn't play for him.
Yep.
Now they're going to play inspired. Denver is nowhere near as good as their record said that they were in the beginning of the season in the first place. I think the Raiders go into Mile High, take a W off the back of this whole Gruden nonsense. Now that he's gone, the team is actually going to play like they're supposed to.
All right.
I just changed my pick.
All right. So the Raiders with a W here. This is going to be an odd game because you have one team in the Raiders to where, like you said, you feel like they could come out, be so focused, just looking for that W, wanting to really ride off that bad narrative. But also, like, what's going through these players' heads? How do they feel as a team? Is their chemistry still there? Are they trusting in that organization, in that Raiders culture that had a lot of hype, through the first few weeks in the NFL? And, Raider Nation has always been huge with the fan base. They always have high expectations for their team. Who wouldn't? And with the Broncos, I was never bought in on them. Yeah, their secondary is great, but they had played arguably the three worst teams in the NFL. And I think they're going to have their hands full here with the Raiders. I do have the Raiders taking this victory. I don't know how the game necessarily is going to play out, but I think the Raiders will pull this one off here in a really weird and maybe ugly way. But now we have Dallas at New England. New England plus 3.5. And this is going to be a fun game. We're going to see Bill Belichick do what he does best, take away an offense and make them play left-handed. Is it enough for the Patriots to upset, though?
I mean, I'm still just kind of figure out how the line is 3.5. We had extreme trouble last week stopping Davis Mills. Dak Prescott is way better than Davis Mills. The Dallas offense has pretty much been a puzzle that no one's been able to solve yet this season. They've been clicking on all cylinders. So I think Bill may be able to put together a scheme that can possibly slow it down. I don't think New England can't score enough points to keep up with Dallas. It's just not enough firepower. That's asking entirely too much of Mac. They did surprise us in the Tampa Bay game, but that was a highly emotional game where Bill knows Tom well enough to where he could throw things at him that he knows actually throw him off. You don't actually have that same kind of luxury in this game. You've got a well-oiled machine in Dallas coming in that you don't really know anything about. And you don't have the horses to just completely shut it down. The defense is top 5, but Dallas's offense is top 3.
Right.
Actually, I think they're second.
Yep.
They're right behind Buffalo.
Right.
So, I mean, while New England should be able to stay in the game and stay competitive, I don't see them winning it.
Yeah. I got to agree with you, man. Dallas is they're high flying right now. They're feeling hot. Defense is serviceable, like you said. So we know with Mac Jones, with the offense, the way it's going right now, it's really tough to get yards and points for your Patriots, man. We've talked about it. And with the way Dallas's defense is able to play, we could see a lot of stifling. We could see a very large margin of victory here for the Dallas Cowboys. Even if Belichick does put his best game up, this is a team that, talking about Dallas, their offense is prolific right now. We know the receiving core. Zeke is coming back to life, and Dak Prescott off of the injury, just absolutely wow. I will take Dallas to win this game here, and it could be ugly, unfortunately. Seahawks.
He has issue with mobile quarterbacks as well.
Bill does?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we never beat Cam.
Yep. There you go, man.
And Deshaun gave us problems. Anyone who can run, like, I don't know how many. I would have to actually go back and look to see how many offenses as prolific as Dallas is right now with the two-headed running game, and all of these top flight receivers actually had a mobile quarterback that could throw like that.
Right.
Like, that's an added element that makes it impossible to defend.
Yep. Agree with you, man. Totally agree with you. Last two games here before we roll out of our NFL Week 6 picks and spreads. So Seahawks at Steelers. Steelers are -4 at home. Big Ben with a little bit of juice left in the tank, I guess, versus Geno Smith. And a really, really underperforming Seahawks and Steelers team as well. Seahawks or Steelers?
I mean, I'll take the Steelers just because you have to pick someone to win the game. I really feel like they've got to flex this game out. They have time. Why is this on Sunday Night Football?
Oh, God. That's
a break. So, I mean, I think what the NFL was going for here is this was like a mid-season tribute to the ladies. Like, we're going to give you guys a break and put a game on Sunday night that nobody wants to see so y'all can watch TV. Just watch a movie. Y'all can go do something. Go out to dinner. Anything. Not watching that.
So, yeah, babe, we can go out because this garbage game is on Sunday night.
Watch Squid Games.
I need to get more into that series, man. I keep falling asleep, but I know it's what. And I'm mad because I'm seeing all the memes. They're putting it in sports and real estate and everything, and I don't understand it.
You're late.
Very late. I know, man. I need to get on it. Absolutely need to get on it. I'm going to take Pittsburgh with the win as well. Even though Geno Smith did really play well in that game until he threw the interception and it wasn't for them anymore. Seattle could give really Pittsburgh a run for their money. Pittsburgh's pass rush, though, is probably going to play a big part in this. And, Geno Smith might have a whole week to prep with Pete Carroll, but this team is just, they feel down and out right now. And an underperformer versus an underperformer, I'll take the one that's playing at home and has the better defense. Steelers here all day. Buffalo at Tennessee. This one shouldn't be a difficult one at all. There's nothing from Tennessee that could really present a threat for this Buffalo team, but let's hear your pick on it.
I mean, I'm definitely taking Buffalo. Like, we got a bad Sunday night and a bad Monday night.
I know,
game.
man.
They really don't like us this week.
Might just be able to catch all the Squid Games at this point.
For real, you can watch all of it. Yeah, we got Buffalo for the just straight run through. Maybe we'll get a Derrick Henry highlight where he stiff arms somebody into the third row. But outside of that,
with no regard for human life,
he's gonna Tyson Fury somebody.
Yeah, for real, no kidding. So Buffalo at Tennessee, definitely going to take Buffalo here, of course. Tennessee has no reason to win this football game. And honestly, if Buffalo can't pull this W out, it's just going to speak more to the, potential fool's gold like we talked about. They haven't beat anybody. Okay, they have not beat anyone. Now they're facing a Titans team, and this should be a shutout victory. This should be a 35-7, 42-10. Whatever type of game for Buffalo, because there's going to be no competition here. We don't know the status of Tennessee's roster, but even if they were there, they don't have the defense. They don't have the pass rush, and Buffalo's feeling hot. They're a very, very scorching team right now, so there's no reason that the Buffalo Bills should lose this football game.